Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable podcast. We are here to record episode 169, and today we are talking about the coronavirus in China. For our listeners out there who haven't been listening for 5 months or have been living under a rock, I have been living in China for the past 5 months and recently left due to the coronavirus. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But today's episode, we are going to give you some firsthand experience on what it was like to be in China during the outbreak of the coronavirus. And hopefully Jared will give us some stats and some facts as well. So without further adu, my man with a plan, what's going on, Jared?
Hi, Chad. I was struggling to hear you over that shirt. Unfortunately, due to your I'm going to assume your Wi-Fi, no one will be able to see this shirt, but believe me, everyone, it's loud. Chad, you really do not know how to drop a bombshell. You're just casually like, well, yeah, lived in China for 5 months. Not anymore. Anyway, moving on. You gotta build up to things like this and wait to. You
gotta
just
roll with the punches, Jared.
Threw it in there, and I'm like, all right, cool. All right, that's how we're gonna do. Start it off just casual like that. We're real casual here at the Untranslatable podcast. So I'm just gonna casually ask you to, follow us on all the socials. Untranslatable podcast on Twitter, on Instagram. Excuse me. Untranslatable podcast on Twitter, Untranslatable1 on Twitter. Jesus Christ. Spread a little love.
There we go. This loud shirt's distracting Jared.
Really
people.
Is.
It's my fault.
There's
my apologies.
so much going on with it. I can't even focus on what's going on in my head. You can
this might have to be the new official Untranslatable shirt.
Well, I mean, soon we'll be we'll be back in 1080p video.
That's
so
true.
We'll be able to
get ready, Jared. I'm going to find you a loud shirt too.
So that would be great. I would love that. Yeah. You say that like a threat.
You can wear that
with
your loud jacket. You can wear that with your loud jacket you bought in Berlin. Just get real loud.
Yes. Although it's too cold.
Tune into the extra loud Untranslatable podcast coming to a home near you very soon.
Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious. Give us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher, please. That's Russian for please. This is a language podcast partially. But also a podcast that talks about untranslatable phrases and travel and life changes like leaving a country due to a horrific outbreak. But before we get into that, you will be traveling soon, and I love this stuff. But I happened to come across something on Twitter of a woman. This is slightly old, but very informative and probably still very true to this day. Okay. And I just wanted to play this video I found on Twitter of this woman explaining to like a news network what to do, what to touch, what to eat and drink on an airplane, and how the other flight attendants handled that kind of stuff. How does it feel being in? You don't have. Sorry, I just realized you're internet free right now.
Well, internet restriction free, more or less. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been able to access Facebook,
sucks, but yeah.
Instagram. I would say Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter. But I have been on Instagram. Posted a pic from Hong Kong. I'm surprised Jared didn't give me shit for because I didn't send it to him, but I can send that to you as well, Jared. And I will say this, Jared. I just had a quick layover in Hong Kong.
I expect nothing from you anymore.
I kind of miss it though. I'm sure some of our listeners miss it too.
I just don't expect anything anymore.
That's fair. Well, you can expect loud shirts from now on, Jared. That's for sure. But yeah. So to paint the picture for all of our listeners out there, I had to leave China. I left on breaking the fourth wall here. Left on the 31st of January at 3 a.m. from Beijing Airport. Flew in, had a 3-hour, 40-minute flight into Hong Kong, landed at 7 a.m.
How was the flight?
As we were flying in, flight was fine. Couldn't really sleep at all.
Was there? I wonder why. Was there anyone? Like, how packed was the airport? How was?
Airport was surprisingly not very busy, but I think that's for a few reasons. Number one, it is still Chinese New Year. When this podcast comes out, it will have just ended.
They extended it for a lot of companies, too, I heard.
They did, yes. But so that's one reason. I think another big reason why it wasn't as busy is it was a 3 a.m. flight.
Oh, right.
So I don't know how many flights go out at 3 a.m. But yeah, it was a 3 a.m. flight. Yeah, a There's a lot of late night flights here in China. So I flew to Hong Kong, got to Hong Kong at about 7 a.m.
Did you wear your mask when you were out the whole time?
Whole flight.
Wore
my mask the entire time at the airport. Entire time on the flight. I didn't take off the mask until I was in Bali.
I have a friend that is traveling domestically coming up in the next couple days, and he bought a one of those N99 masks on Amazon, but they were like, a lot of them were sold out. Like, they were hard to come by. I'm sure in China they were probably sold out in a lot of places too.
Yes.
But he still found one, and the one he found has like a fake snakeskin appearance, like yellow and black snakeskin appearance on it. And he's going to be on the airplane in the United States, mind you.
I think right now it hasn't become a big enough issue where that's really necessary. I'm also not a medical professional, but unless someone is on the plane who was recently in Wuhan or was infected by someone who was in Wuhan, which in the States are only 5 cases, at least unless they've increased since I last checked.
They're all related to people that were in Wuhan directly, I believe.
Correct. And they've quarantined and isolated all 5 of those cases. So, and they've also contacted everybody who was in contact. So that's actually a really good sign. For our listeners in the U.S., I personally, what I've read and what I know about the virus, I wouldn't be worried about it if you're living in the United States. Now, if you are taking a flight that has a lot of passengers from China, technically speaking, the risk is a lot higher. Just because they could have been in Wuhan, they could have, who knows. But I'm not trying to spread panic or fear here, but I think overall, you should be fairly safe to fly.
I think saying overall, you should be fairly safe to fly is not spreading panic or fear. I think that's good.
Because that's not what we're trying to do here at the Untranslatable podcast.
You're saying go for it. All right.
Right. I will tell you, though, Jared. Yeah, go ahead.
What will you tell me, Chad?
I will tell you that the first flight, the mask was so uncomfortable I couldn't sleep. But the second flight from Hong Kong from 7 a.m., it was a 5-hour flight, 7 a.m. No, we left at 10 and got into Bali, Denpasar at 3 o'clock, so 10 to 3. And I slept almost the entire flight.
Wow, with the mask on.
I think it's because I think I started to get kind of used to it. It was kind of uncomfortable. The trick is, though, with some of the masks, the way that the little rubber band things are, if you put it right behind your ears, I wish we were on YouTube right now, but we aren't because of my crappy connection here in Bali. But it forces your ears to kind of like droop, and it's kind of painful over a long period of time. But I saw a couple Chinese people who put the rubber band part more on the crown of the back of their head. Genius. I did that, and the mask was still on nice and tight, and wasn't too painful. But I will tell you this, Jared. Everyone on the flight from Beijing to Hong Kong had a mask on. Every single person I saw. From Hong Kong to Bali,
including the flight attendants,
everybody had a. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I should be especially the flight attendants, I guess, as many people as they
a lot of the
with.
flight attendants not only had masks on, but they also had gloves. They had gloves. But then the interesting thing was the flight from Hong Kong to Bali. There were 3 people that didn't have a mask on. They were all Westerners, they were white people. I would assume they're Westerners. They didn't have masks on. But the other thing is, too, like, masks really don't, from what I've read, the only thing that masks protect you from is not touching your eyes. No. Not touching not your eyes, not touching your nose or your mouth, which is one way that you can get infected.
So it's really
if the virus is on your hands.
From yourself.
Correct. And if you have a mask on, if you were to have the coronavirus, if you have the mask on and you do cough or sneeze, you're not spreading those germs to others. But the thing is that if your eyes are exposed, if someone were to sneeze, or if you were to touch something where the virus was and you rub your eyes, you can get the virus. So you have to be very, very careful. Very careful. I'm still, even though I've been in Bali now, this is my 2nd day here, I've been using hand sanitizer like a madman. I've been using soap like a madman.
That
whenever I get anything on my
people away from you too.
It does. Actually, no. Everyone wants to come talk to me because of my loud shirt. We'll have to take a screenshot, or I'll wear this tomorrow and get some pictures so Jared can post it just so people know what he's talking about. But I'm in Bali my second day, and I still have been washing my hands like a madman. Whenever I get feel like I need to scratch my eyes, I like squint them real hard. If I need to scratch my nose, I'll usually use like my sleeve, So I'm still really trying to be as careful as possible.
Like you're definitely safer than when you were in China, but you're by no means...
In Indonesia, there's no cases.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're in the clear.
So that's a good thing.
For now. Well,
I will be officially in the clear. They say that the virus has about 14 days incubation period. So in 2 weeks, if I'm not sick, I'm going to knock on wood right now. In 2 weeks, if I'm not sick, then I should be good. So yeah. But so far, I feel great. No cough, no fever, no cold, no nothing. Nobody on the flight seemed like they were sick. And if
sure
everyone is technically wearing
down.
Oh yeah, especially if someone coughed or sneezed, you better believe. Exactly. I've seen some memes of I saw this really funny meme where it was like when you're at a Chinese restaurant and you hear a cough from the kitchen and somebody looked terrified while they were holding a fork and a knife. So yeah. But I will say, memes aside, this virus is definitely no joke, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later.
Yeah. Well, for now, forget my video. We'll just we'll talk about it later because you're going to be on the road again and stuff. We can just spread a little love.
You can't give me a quick one or two things about the video?
I'll just play the video. I don't have anywhere to be.
Me either.
This flight attendant is sharing secrets that airlines won't tell you.
You might want to think about ordering something other than coffee or tea.
We went to Air Hollywood and met
Good,
up with
I didn't
flight
have coffee or tea.
Hardwick.
Good to know.
I thought tea was safe.
Colleagues never order warm beverages when they fly.
I thought tea was safe. I knew never to order coffee, but I was like, well, tea's just...
Why does she say why is that?
Yes, she does.
I don't know why that is.
The thing about the coffee and the tea is that the pipes are rarely cleaned.
Airlines are only required to disinfect and flush the water tanks.
Can you pause it real quick, Jared?
4 times a year. Fine,
you hear that?
no coffee.
Oh, God, 4 times, yeah. I like the click of the thing. Can I just say, though, the tone of her voice, she almost sounds like she's joking. I know she's serious, but the tone of her voice is kind of weird.
Whimsical.
But anyways, continue.
She has a very whimsical tone.
Yeah.
By the way, I retweeted this. It's on our Twitter if you want to see it.
Oh, sweet. Check it out. Untranslatable 1.
About Diet Coke. She says flight attendants have an issue with pouring Diet Coke because it fizzes up more than any other soda.
I don't know what it is about the chemistry in Diet Coke and us being 40,000 feet in the air, but by the time it takes us to pour one Diet Coke, we could have 3 other drinks poured.
Another secret,
follow up with Annabelle about that.
Give me that screwdriver, orange juice, and vodka, and there's no fizz at all, people.
That's hilarious. My go-to would probably be on the airplane. Probably ginger ale and a whiskey, but ginger ale doesn't really
I was going to say, ginger ale is definitely a good go-to.
And it's usually, they don't usually have good ginger ale on the airplane, so it's not going to be that fizzy anyway.
Well, we come from the land of Vernors,
That's true.
Jared.
I
We are
compare
very
everything
spoiled.
to Vernors,
Very
which
spoiled.
is aggressively fizzy. All right, let me keep playing this.
Right. True.
Their secret, why you shouldn't ask a flight attendant to help you store your luggage.
We do not get paid until the boarding door is closed. If we put that bag in the bin and we get hurt, we do not get to write it off as an on-job injury.
Next, this dirty little
terrible.
secret about
That is
blankets
terrible.
and pillows.
Yeah. So they're like, we're not saying no because we don't want to help you, but it's like if something goes wrong, we're on our own on this one.
Right.
Bring your own. These
Bring your own
get
blanket and
washed,
pillows.
but we're not sure how great they get washed, right?
The blankets.
Same for the pillows. They will take the
I don't use
lining off
either of
the
those.
pillow and put a new one, but you still have the pillow that's in there that's dirty.
And speaking of germs, our flight attendant says that everything you've heard about your tray table is true.
Oh my gosh, this is disgusting. When cleaners come on, they don't have time to wipe down every individual tray, so it's best wet ones. Please bring them on. Please clean
that's
your
smart.
trays
Yeah, that is a
before
good
you
idea.
put
That's
anything
smart.
on here.
An airline industry spokesperson tells Inside Edition the safety of passengers is the #1 priority, and that includes providing clean drinking water and cabins. Finally, this flight attendant says a little kindness goes a long way.
We are more likely to help you find a better seat if you're nice to us.
Can you pause that, Jared? I got a few things to say about that. I feel like that is a rule for life in general. Whenever you interact with anybody, kindness is key. I feel like the best way, if you're going on a date with somebody new, if they treat the waiter or waitress or whatever service person like shit, get out of there. They're trash human beings, garbage people. Yeah, don't waste your time with those people.
Especially if they have no problem doing that in front of someone like they just met too. Like it's just that normal to them.
Yeah. And nobody likes that asshole on the plane that's, belittling the flight attendant or getting an attitude. Don't be that person,
I always get uncomfortable whenever I see anyone even hit that little call the flight attendant thing. I was like, you better be near death right now.
Right. Or incredibly nice. Incredibly nice.
Yeah.
One or the other, or both. Right.
So yeah, I love stuff like that. This woman still has her job, by the way. This was filmed at least a couple years ago, just based off of the quality of it. But in the comments of the video, the guy replied and showed like a video that she put on Facebook or YouTube that she still has her job, which I found interesting. So, but yeah, I mean,
why wouldn't she? She didn't say individual airlines and stuff.
Yeah, she didn't say what airline she worked for, obviously.
Right.
But I'll also say, that comes. Like those are extra true for someone like you that is on airplanes or was on airplanes in sort of a quote unquote hot zone,
Right. Yeah, and I made sure to touch as little as possible. And when I did touch something, Jared, you better believe the hand sanitizer came out or I washed my hands.
Have you ever rubbed hand sanitizer on your face?
No, no, I'm not that hardcore. That's for sure.
It hasn't come to that
yet. And I'll talk about some things later in the episode that I saw that were interesting methods to avoid the coronavirus in China. We can talk about those a bit later.
All right.
But I think that's a great video and great tips. But Jared, I think you know what time it is. It's time to
spread love.
That is right, good sir. And my shout out today goes out to all of the doctors and nurses and people in Wuhan and around China who are trying their best to battle this virus. I mean, a lot of hospitals are understaffed. They don't have enough equipment. It's really tough out there. And, there are memes and jokes about this, but this should not be taken lightly. And I mean, people have lost their lives. Some people who have been relatively healthy have lost their lives. So I send all sorts of love to the doctors, the nurses, and everyone who has been affected by the coronavirus. And I hope everyone will be able to be happy and healthy and recover from this virus, not only physically and mentally, but also financially. I'm sure this will cause some people to lose some money, maybe even lose their job. So we're sending lots of love to everybody who's been affected by this.
It's interesting that you say that too, because I was talking to a coworker the other day, and he was talking about how it's only dangerous for like babies and old people, but if you're in the middle, quote unquote healthy part of your life, it's no different than getting like a strong cold or a light flu,
Which is only slightly true because a 36-year-old man passed away in Wuhan that had no health problems. Completely healthy, passed away.
And even if that is like technically true, it's a weirdly flippant way to think about. Even if you will make it through a pretty intense, sickness or virus,
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that later. We still got to get to the
Untranslatables.
This is the Untranslatable podcast. I didn't realize.
Get us started off, Jared.
Like obsessed we'd be with this as we started talking. Like I thought we'd casually talk about a whole bunch of other stuff and then be like, all right, now coronavirus. But I guess this is all. I mean, it's huge news here in the U.S., obviously, but it's all.
You should see it in China. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to some untranslatables first, though. Then we'll get back to that. My first one is Bahasa, which is spoken in Indonesia. Hey, that's where you're at.
Yep. That is where I'm at. I hope you don't have one of mine.
I literally didn't even cross my mind when I got this. That's for it's interesting too because I always hear whenever people talk about Bali, they almost never bring up the fact, like people in the U.S. that I know that have been to
Indonesia.
Bali. They almost never bring up the fact that I'm going to Indonesia. It's always just I'm going to Bali, you know?
Going to Bali, yeah.
Yeah. And then I forget that that's in Indonesia. Anyway, Masuk Angin is the untranslatable, and it literally means enter wind.
It means to get a cold or get sick, right?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Did I take one of yours?
No, but when I was reading through Bahasa phrases, I saw that
you
one.
saw it?
I'm surprised I remembered it.
It seemed fitting. Actually,
Appropriate.
I'm gonna actually say all of mine are very fitting to our topic today. Actually, now that I think about it.
Okay. Well, Jared, my first one is also Bahasa, and it is Buang Ar. I believe it's Kisil, or that's one, and then the other one is Buang Ar Basar, and it means to throw a small water or throw a big water.
Throw a small water or throw a big... Is that like to throw a temper tantrum? Is to throw a big water?
Nope. We use numbers for this one, Jared.
A 1 and a 2?
There we go, baby.
So a small water is a 1 and a big water is a 2?
That's right.
Okay.
And for our listeners out there that don't know what a 1 and a 2 is, if you're not coming from the States, a 1 would be you have to go pee, and a 2 would be you have to go poop. So there you go. Big water, small water.
And a 3, no, we're not going to get into that.
What is a 3? Yeah.
I have no idea.
What do you have next for me, Jared?
My next one is Albanian, and it's Mosbi Niga. Oh, that's not what I meant to say. Mosbi NGA. It just comes out as the N word when I say it. Mosbi Inga Kina. Don't come from China is what it literally means. Which I'd already
don't come
very fitting for this episode.
Is this and it has to do with illness or being sick?
No.
No. Okay. Is it like don't give me a clue. Give me something here, Jared.
Okay. So you are a huge guitar aficionado. Mm-hmm. And let's say I'm at your house and I'm asking you about some guitar you have and why it is. And you're like, well, Les Paul was born. Like I was like, hey, why is it that that most of these that yours is wood and not blah blah blah, whatever else they make guitars out of?
Right.
And you'd be like, well,
I'd say don't come from China, Jared.
Les Paul, no. Les Paul was born in, 1912, and he grew up in California, which was a famous redwood place, and he grew up, his bed was made out of redwood. It was very sturdy. It's where he lost his virginity.
It means
and then it also
get to
turns
the
out
point.
it's the cheapest. Yeah. It's
It
like
means
don't
get to
go
the
all the
point.
way around the world to explain something.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Get to the point. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, my next one for you is, I'm going to give you a Spanish one next, and then I'll end with an Bahasa one. So this one is Spanish, and it is ser pan comido, which is often used or translated as es pan comido, which means it is eaten bread.
It has eaten bread?
It is eaten bread.
It is... That's not a proper sentence. It is eaten bread?
The bread has been eaten.
Okay, the bread has been eaten. It's old news.
Nope. Our idiom, we have a similar one, Jared, but it has to do with a sweet dessert treat.
It's a piece of cake.
There we go. Exactly. Something's easy. It's a piece of cake.
Okay, cool. I'm going to give myself a ham horn for that one.
I think you deserve it.
Okay. I mean, I have one more, but I don't want to do it. So
Okay.
I'm done.
I'll finish this off. My last one is Gaki nak badan, which means not of delicious body.
Not of delicious body. What language is this again?
Bahasa, Indonesian.
Oh, okay. not of delicious body.
Yep.
It's like, I don't even know where to begin with this. It's like,
we have an untranslatable. It has to do with weather.
It has to do with weather.
Mm-hmm. I am...
raining on my parade. Don't you rain on my parade.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. I have no idea.
Well, Jared, people with the coronavirus are definitely not of delicious body.
Oh, under the weather. Meaning sick.
Under the weather or sick, not feeling well. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Luckily, you're not under the weather. You're
Correct.
feeling good.
I am still of delicious body. Gonna knock on wood for that. Yeah.
So you are in Bali right now, and your next stop after Bali is going to be back here to Michigan.
Correct.
You were in Beijing, and while you were in Beijing, you got news that your employment would be ended due to the virus, and that you'd be sent back home. Is essentially the message you got?
Correct. Yes. So what ended up happening was I needed to book an earlier flight out from Bali, for a few reasons. They were worried that eventually Hong Kong was going to block all flights coming from mainland China. So I was advised, or more or less told, to book a flight early. So I left for Bali 3 days sooner than I was supposed to, which now has been great. Bali's a beautiful place. We'll stay tuned to the Untranslatable podcast. I'm sure we'll cover that later on. But yeah, and so basically what happened was the U.S. Embassy has pulled all exchange and government-related programs from China due to the coronavirus. Everywhere. Doesn't matter if you're in the northern part of China, the southern part, the eastern, western. Does not matter. If you are in any government-affiliated program, which the English Language Fellowship, although it's through Georgetown, it's also through the Department of State. And I think the reason why they did this was the government... Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're pulling everybody. Diplomats... Fulbright, I think Peace Corps as well.
Like study abroad people, I assume.
Study abroad, yeah, lots and lots of people. And so basically, what happened was the U.S. government has decided that it's too big of a health risk to keep us there in China. So myself as an English language fellow, my fellowship will be terminated, and I will not be able to return to China, which kind of sucks because half of my belongings are still there. Back in Jinan. Well, I'm going to have to ask someone from my university to box it up, and they will, I think, send it to the embassy, and then the embassy will ship it to the United States. But I'm not 100% sure on that procedure yet. I will find out later this week. But the crazy thing was...
What do you have...
Go ahead.
What do you have in your apartment that is like, I effing need this?
Important.
Yeah. Like,
well... I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Jared. There's nothing in my apartment that I absolutely need.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing that, like, if I went back to the States, I would really
be thinking
be
about
hurting for.
Missing.
Right. Well, there's a few things that have sentimental value. The acoustic guitar my girlfriend bought me for Christmas. Sure. That's a big one. I would love to have that back, and I hope it will somehow get back to the States in one piece. We'll see. I don't really know yet. Also, I have a watch that was a birthday present from my mom in 2019 when I was in the Czech Republic. And I know it sounds a little cheesy and corny, but on the back of it has engraved something along the lines of, no matter where you travel, I'll always be with you, love Mom, or something like that.
Too, that Mike had left in China.
Right. And the funny thing is, I left that watch. I don't travel with that watch because I don't want it to get lost or stolen. Not that it's like monetarily that expensive or a valuable watch, but sentimentally it's valuable to me.
Right. That's why you leave it at home.
Also, right. And also, I have my suit there, and I have like a little guitar amp and a couple other guitar-related things there.
Your Focus,
but nothing
right?
that... also my Focus, right. Yep. But I mean, thankfully, those aren't that expensive. I'll probably just buy a new one once I'm stateside, because it might be 4 or 5 months or longer until I get my stuff.
Right.
I really don't know how that's going to work. And I don't even know when, someone from my university will be able to go and, first of all, get my belongings together.
How are they going to get into
I don't know
your
the process yet. I mean, there's a student and a worker that has my key. They have a copy of it. So
okay, there you go. So when you were you were on vacation in Beijing, staying at your girlfriend's place for that whole time during when this whole thing started going down,
right?
Did you have any feeling that like how much of a shock was this to you that this was happening? Is essentially what I'm getting at.
Good question. So I had heard at the end of December that there were, from the U.S. government, they sent out a warning to all U.S. citizens if you enroll in the STEP program, which I would highly recommend any U.S. traveler who's traveling abroad to do this, because you'll get all sorts of different alerts, whether there's political upheaval, epidemics, anything, you'll get notified. And so we were notified at the end of December or early January that there was a bunch of cases of pneumonia in Wuhan. And so to avoid Wuhan at all costs, do not travel there. If you have a layover, see if you can change your flight. Just avoid Wuhan, because you don't want to get pneumonia. And then later on, once people started getting really sick, and then they identified it was a novel coronavirus, which is what was causing the pneumonia, that's when things started to ramp up. And so I started to find that out when I was already in Beijing. So I didn't find out about this coronavirus really until probably January 12th or 15th or something like that. But they had cases of this all the way back in late December. But I don't think they were able to identify the virus yet, and I'm not really sure how all of that worked.
Right. Like they knew that, they were getting it confused with pneumonia and stuff at the beginning.
Right.
It's just not the first thing they would think it would be.
Right. Right.
Because it's mostly it's an animal virus that found its way, that mutated, right, from the wet market, as you mentioned on a previous episode.
Interesting you mentioned that, Jared. I think that's probably most likely what happened. But what some people say, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm saying this is just what I've read and what I've heard from some people in China and what I've seen online, is that if you go back to when the SARS outbreak happened in 2002 and 2003, I believe the SARS outbreak happened in Beijing. And Jared, humor me and just Google this for me. Google and open up 2 tabs for me. 1 tab and type in SARS outbreak Beijing. I think it's virology. I can't say that word. It's like
virology.
Something like that. And open up another tab that says Wuhan coronavirus. Same thing, virology or something like that. And so I've read from a few sources. Now I don't know how credible these are. I don't know how true this is. But I have read
same base or something like that.
Well, so what I've read is that. Some people believe, and I'm saying some people because I'm not really sure what's true or not, but some people believe and some people say that both of these viruses were actually somehow accidentally leaked from a lab where they were studying these viruses.
Oh, the Wuhan virus lab made bioweapon story is a conspiracy. That's just the first thing that comes up.
See, so there you go. So it's probably not true.
Like a bioweapon mishap, like they're testing bioweapons and they...
And I'm not saying that any of this is true.
Vial or something? Is it something like that?
Right. Or who knows? But I've heard that from different people. I've heard that from Chinese people. I've heard that from Westerners living in China. I've heard that more than once. So some people do believe this.
Oh, can I ask? When you were at the airport in Beijing, did they give you one of those FLIR temperature things?
So let me tell you what it was like at the airport, Jared. So everyone had their mask on. We had to fill out a health report, a piece of paper saying if we were in Wuhan, when were we there? Are you showing any symptoms of the virus? Your contact information, your passport number, all that stuff. You sign it and then you give it to someone. Now, my question is, I am very curious how many people actually fill out those forms truthfully.
Yeah,
because
of course, if you're trying to get out of there and you were in Wuhan, shut up about it.
Right. Or if you have, because I know a lot of people are very, narrow-minded and selfish and maybe thinking, oh, I'll be fine. I won't give anyone this. I'll just lie on the form. Fine. I don't know how truthful. Yeah, I don't know how truthfully people answer those. But anyway, so we had to fill out a form. Filled out the form. Then there was a place after security where you, before security, where you walk through, and you had to walk. It said walk through very slowly, and it almost looked kind of like a metal detector thing that you walk through, but it was to check your temperature. And then there were 2 doctors sitting in hazmat suits watching you when you walk through. So that was to check your temperature. Now the issue with this though, Jared, is that at least what they know about the virus so far is that you can actually infect people before you show signs. So it's asymptomatic. So what that means is even if you don't have a fever, I guess so. Yeah,
you can give people mono before you actually show the symptoms of it.
Right. Or so what that means though is that you could not have a fever, not have a temperature, and still pass the virus on to people.
Right.
Now, I don't know, though, if it becomes more or less infectious if you have the symptoms. I don't know anything about it.
Or if it matters. I feel like it wouldn't matter. Like, once you have the virus, it's just going to... It's like the virus is the same no matter how you get it. You know what I mean?
Is it, though? I don't know.
Yeah, neither of us are doctors.
Yeah, no.
But I'm assuming that the virus is the virus.
Right.
And that the way that it works is that it takes a bit to present itself, but it's still active within you, you know? So if you give it to someone before, you're giving symptoms. You're giving the same virus to them.
But I wonder if the count of the virus, the coronavirus, is higher when you are actually showing
more
symptoms.
Potent.
Like if there's more virus in your body. I'm not sure. I really don't know. But anyways, so there were the temperature checks. Some places in China, people would like wave this wand over you for temperature as well. And then when I came into Bali, when I landed, there was a more lengthy health form to fill out. And then that was about it. But I will tell you, right now, I feel fairly confident that the flight that I was on, both flights, were pretty safe. Everyone was wearing a mask. No one was showing symptoms. I think the likelihood of you catching it...
How filled was the plane?
On a plane... both of them weren't super full. I mean...
Were people sitting next to you?
There were empty seats. In the first flight, no. The second flight, yes.
Okay.
But, when you fly out of Hong Kong, there's a high likelihood that those people either were living in Hong Kong or were flying in from somewhere else.
Right.
So, yeah. And Wuhan is now and has been on lockdown. So nobody in, nobody out. So I'm not sure how many people from Wuhan who in theory could have gotten it or have the virus are traveling. And the other thing is, too, even if you were in Wuhan, if it's been 2 weeks and you don't show any symptoms, they say that you're good. So even if those people have been out of Wuhan for 2 weeks and they don't have any symptoms, they're also free of the coronavirus. So even if someone traveled with you from Wuhan... in theory, that doesn't mean that they have the virus or you will get sick.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. I have some just quick coronavirus facts for you. There have been more than 7,700 confirmed cases of infection as of Thursday morning. So, it's Saturday. A day-over-day increase of more than 1,500, which is a lot.
And I will tell you, Jared, from what I've heard about the numbers, I've heard there's a couple flaws and a couple issues with the numbers. Number one, these confirmed cases are only cases that have been confirmed in hospitals. So what this means is you could have the coronavirus, but if you are relatively healthy, you may not go to the hospital if it's not terribly bad. If you don't develop pneumonia and you're not really struggling, you probably aren't going to go to the hospital.
You could just tough it out at home. Like a normal cold or whatever?
Correct. So that's one issue. Another issue, too, is I have heard that some of the hospitals right now are so crowded that hospitals are turning people away unless it's dire situations. That's why in the shout-out, I really wanted to send a lot of love to the nurses and doctors working in these horrible work conditions right now. And based on these numbers, Jared, Wuhan right now is scrambling to build a 1,000-bed hospital to treat this. Now, if you look at the numbers...
Did you say they should be done by today when we talked about it
February
last?
3rd. February 3rd. So 2 more days.
Okay.
But here's the thing, Jared. If the number of cases in Wuhan are what they were saying, they in theory should have enough hospital beds to take care of it. So why would you need to build another 1,000-bed hospital, right? So I think the numbers are not very realistic to the actual numbers. And there are some reasons why. It takes a few days to actually diagnose whether or not people have the coronavirus. You have to take this test. It takes a day or two for them to diagnose it.
And not everyone's going to the hospital as well.
Correct. And not everyone's going to the hospital. Right. So it's really difficult to say. I have heard all sorts of crazy things about the numbers. I have heard some people predict it's like over 100,000. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going around. And it's really difficult right now to know what is fact and what is fiction. So it's very important to try to use credible sources like the World Health Organization, the CDC, things like this.
Yeah. Okay. Of those cases that I mentioned, there have been confirmed 170 deaths. But once again, that was as of Thursday, the 30th. January 30th. Sorry, I'm not
Jared,
good at doing simple math
I bet you if you just Googled it right now, you could get an accurate update.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure it'd be very easy to find.
I just like the way that
because I'm also curious. Yeah. And now from what I've heard, the tricky thing about this coronavirus, which is different, makes it.
First thing that comes up, death toll is, as of right now, passes 250.
250.
Apple shuts China stores. It's getting serious, Chad.
Starbucks closed. A lot of places
have
closed.
Apple stores.
Right.
That's how it's all coming to an end.
It's getting serious. Right.
Australia joined the United States in temporarily barring foreigners who have recently visited China. Now, that's not going to be a problem for you?
I'm not sure. Now, see, here's the thing, is I've at least read that they are going to quarantine travelers from China. But here's the thing. As long as I am still healthy and don't get sick, I'm going to knock on wood again, I will be in Indonesia for a month.
Right.
The incubation period is 14 days. I will be here an additional
double
14 days or so on top of that.
Yeah.
So if I'm not sick, I don't have the virus. And so at that point, it's like, and plus I'm not flying in from China. I'm flying from Bali. Right. I'll probably have to go Bali to Seoul.
There are no cases right now.
Well, I think in Korea there are some cases. But in Bali there are no cases. Yeah. So I don't think I'll have to be quarantined. I really hope not. But that's also, Jared, I will tell you, I have the option to come home earlier. But I'm staying in Bali longer for a few reasons. One, it's a beautiful country, and it's great. Number two is I also, if I do have the virus, which I doubt, but you never know, I really don't want to come back to Michigan and give this to my parents, my friends, my family members. I need to keep Jared healthy so we can continue this podcast. So by the end of the month, I'll know definitely whether or not if I'm healthy or not. So that's another reason why I'm staying longer. So yeah.
Also, according to this new article I pulled up, it's now, once again, this is all ifs, ands, maybes, but over or nearly 12,000 infections confirmed. So you can probably assume a little more than that, seems like.
I would definitely assume more than that. Yeah, most definitely.
Chinese officials on Saturday reported the highest death toll so far in a 24-hour period. The 46 new deaths in China raised the toll to 259. About 2,100 new cases were also recorded in the country in the past 24 hours, raising the worldwide total to nearly 12,000, according to the Chinese and World Health Organization data. The vast majority of the cases are inside China. About 100 cases have been confirmed in 21 other countries. All of the Chinese provinces and territories now have been touched by the outbreak. That's scary. So it's spread. So it's everywhere in China at this point. Countries and territories that have confirmed cases: Thailand, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Australia, Malaysia, Macau, Russia, France, the United States, South Korea, Germany, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Canada, Britain, Vietnam, Italy, India, the Philippines, Nepal, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Finland, and Sweden. Cases recorded in Thailand, Taiwan, Germany, Vietnam, Germany, France, the United States involved patients who had not been to China. No deaths have been reported outside of China, though.
China I find that fascinating.
What, that no
Because I
deaths
thought
or the
most
one before that?
No. I thought that almost all the cases. But I read this a couple weeks ago.
This
I thought that
article was
all the
updated
cases
18
abroad.
minutes ago, by the way.
Okay. But I thought that almost all the cases, either people had been to Wuhan or had a friend or family member from Wuhan. That's not the case?
Just to be clear, I'm reading the New York Times right now. So
Okay.
I'm telling you what they say. I'm going to say yes. That's what they said. It's now involving patients who had not been in China, so I'm just going to believe it. Maybe I'm the fool for believing the New York Times, but that's what they say.
That's interesting. I find that really interesting. That makes it even scarier, though.
A Chinese doctor who called the virus controllable regrets his words. Did you see people wearing goggles of any sort?
Nope. And I didn't have goggles either. So
I'm looking at pictures of people with goggles on.
So that's an interesting thing, Jared. I wanted to bring this up. I've seen some pictures on WeChat of a couple people who had like the gallon jugs of water.
I cut them in half. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. They had the water bottles cut off, so that'll cover your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and most of those people still had masks on too.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah, they kind of look like Devo heads with masks on. No, they don't look like that at all. They just look like giant water bottles with the bottom cut off. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at pictures of, and there's this family of 3 that all have surgical masks, mind you, not like N99
N95s
masks or N95s. Mm-hmm. Aren't those two different? There's N99 and N95.
I think so. Yeah.
And they also have like plastic bags wrapped around, draped over them. It seems a little dangerous to put the kid in a plastic bag, but I'd
agree.
Do what you got. It's more dangerous to get coronavirus, I guess, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, a lot. There's someone on the airplane with a motorcycle helmet on, and on a flight from Shanghai. There's someone that has this jacket that. So I have this hoodie here that you love. It's a multicolor hoodie, and it's a zip-up hoodie, and the zipper actually wraps around the hood and goes all the way to the top.
So they have it all the way zipped.
They have it all the way zipped, but then they have cutouts for like a talking portion, and then cutouts for like eye. It looks like Spider-Man in the North Pole.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, there's a lot of makeshift protection things that honestly probably don't do anything except give people the peace of mind.
Which is a big thing, though, too.
Sure. I mean, a huge part of outbreaks is probably like a hysteria, which is rarely based in anything legitimate, more just based in group fear. So, granted, seeing all this sort of stuff probably doesn't help with group fear either. But I'm not. I'm not have a healthy shitting balance. Anyone for doing that. I totally understand.
No, me either. Fear. Right, and I have to say, Jared, it got to a point when I was in China still where I had to stop looking at updates and stuff because it just got to be too much.
Yeah,
it's so much negativity. It's really scary. Yeah.
What are the discussions like about the virus on social media? I assume you haven't talked to a lot of people since you were just in Beijing, and then now you went left straight for Bali. But you've been on WeChat and stuff, I imagine.
Right. I've seen what I thought was a little strange is I saw some posts from some people laughing about the fact that there is now coronavirus in the United States. I thought that was a little strange. These were Chinese citizens. I've seen a lot of people post stuff to send donations to Wuhan, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Sending money for supplies and all sorts of stuff. I've seen lots of memes on WeChat of people kind of making light of the coronavirus, which
sure, that's the internet. That's what people do.
Right, and I get people trying to, sometimes you do need to try to be positive or poke a little bit of fun, but it got to the point where I saw so many memes about it that I just couldn't anymore.
I get that.
But yeah, so. But overall, I'll tell you, man, from my personal experience, it was really eerie being in China while this was going down. When you go out, I only went out a couple times. I went out to the grocery store a few times. I went out to take the trash out. And every time I went out, I had my mask on. Mm-hmm. I had my winter gloves on. And then immediately when I came inside, I washed my hands immediately. And it was just an eerie feeling. One, it was like a ghost town in Beijing. One, because of Chinese New Year, so most people are already at home. And this virus outbreak just made it even more so. So I've never seen so few people out and about in Beijing ever in my entire life.
Yeah, I've been seeing pictures on social media and stuff, and like people I saw a picture of someone who was in their apartment, and they must have been an expat or something. They live off of a like a major highway situation, and they said like in the past hour I've seen like 4 cars go by. Or there was a picture of someone in a completely empty mall, and they're like, for anyone that lives here in Beijing, they know that how crazy it would be to ever be like in this mall and it'd be empty or something like that. And it's just
I saw pictures of people riding in the subway. There was 1 or 2 people in the entire subway.
Yeah. I saw that too. I didn't see inside, but I saw like empty platforms.
Right.
And
I really wonder how this will affect China's economy and the world economy.
Yeah. We talked about this. I don't know if it was on the pod or if we were just talking to ourselves about. But I think it's very, in a weird way, like lucky that it happened during the Chinese New Year. I think it's much like the Chinese get a rep for being workaholics. It seems like it's earned. Let's just be clear.
It's definitely earned.
And I feel like it would be harder to convince companies to stop production or stop business while it's already happening versus, listen, this is getting bad. You're already not working. Just don't go back for another week is probably what they said first. But like convincing people not to go back is probably easier than convincing people to stop.
Correct. I agree with that statement 100%, Jared. But here's the issue about the coronavirus happening now, is that if it would have happened after Chinese New Year, it would not have spread as much because not as many people are traveling. So that is the really big issue why it's all over in China. Chinese New Year is when people travel the most. So it's actually, yes, you're right about taking more time off of work. You're 100% right. But I think the virus has spread a lot more because people travel over Chinese New Year. This is really, if you saw the documentary American Factory, this is one of the few times where people can go home and see their families. So if you
people
are working
in these
Wuhan,
big cities, and then they all
go to the villages
and just go off to various directions to small areas.
And this may also mean too that people are traveling abroad, which means I do not think this virus would have spread as quickly abroad. And I think it could have been contained in Wuhan more so if it wouldn't have happened during Chinese New Year.
That's a good point.
But you are right about stopping
now
work.
That it's already
and
happened.
I saw it. Right. I have seen though some things, at least in Beijing. I was part of a WeChat group called Sane and Safe in Beijing. Shout out to a guy named Mike Webster who made the group, and there was a lot of really good information, helpful stuff. So thank you, Mike. But the thing about this is that. Where was I going with this? The whole thing about it happening over Chinese New Year is that in Beijing, they said they extended the New Year, and they also said that any employer in Beijing, if you are sick and you don't come to work, doesn't matter what your contract says, or your employer has to give you the time off, and they have to pay you your salary, even if you have no sick time left. Or maybe in your contract you don't get sick days. I don't really know how a lot of these contracts here work. Right. If you miss work because you're sick, you are entitled to full compensation.
I mean,
which I think is good.
What we saw in American Factory, it seems like anytime you have to, or you can't show up to work for whatever reason, you're kind of risking your employment. At least at Fuyao.
Correct.
I can't speak for every company there, but it seemed that does seem very important because they don't seem to take lightly to people taking days off.
Right. Now, here's the other interesting thing about the coronavirus, Jared, is that this is one of the few times that I have ever seen Chinese people criticize the government. This is one of the first times I have ever seen that. Generally, that doesn't happen very often in China. The other thing is, I believe, and Google this for me, Jared, because I don't want to spread lies on our podcast here, but I believe the mayor of Wuhan resigned or stepped down. Oh. If you could Google that for me, I'm pretty sure he did, which is also very rare from my understanding of how politics work in China. It's very rare for any government official to step down or resign. Something really big has to happen. Am I right, or am I crazy?
I don't know if he stepped down. 5 million people left Wuhan before they, when the outbreak had already started.
Yes, I know.
Before they.
Correct.
The mayor of Wuhan, the city at the epicenter of Chinese viral outbreak, said rules imposed. Oh, great. Oh, never mind.
What?
I can still read it. Subscribe thing popped up, but I can still read it.
Oh, I hate
said
that.
Rules imposed by Beijing limited what he could disclose about the threat posed by the pathogen, suggesting the central government was partially responsible for a lack of transparency that has marred the. This is from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. That has marred the response to the fast expanding health crisis. Mayor Zhu Jianwang's comments were broadcast on China's state television network hours after Premier Li, I don't know how to, Li Keqiang arrived in the city center to meet infected patients and frontline health workers. An attempt to, so this doesn't say anything about.
Can just Google Mayor Wuhan resigns.
Okay.
If you didn't already do that, but I thought he
No, I
resigned.
just typed in Mayor.
I could be wrong.
Wuhan. No, it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure the Mayor of Wuhan.
Willing to resign over, but this is a YouTube video. It says willing to resign.
Willing to resign. Interesting.
If it helps contain.
Okay.
That was 5 days ago.
Okay.
But
I thought he resigned, but I guess I'm wrong.
It says, okay, the Washington Examiner. This is 22 hours ago. This is the newest I could see. Although I'm looking at this. Okay, hold on. I don't know if I should believe this. Now that I look at this, looks like a hardcore right wing website. I don't know if I should believe this.
Are there any other sources you can find?
Bernie's socialist ideas are gaining steam. Can they power him to the nomination? The Washington Examiner magazine goes into depth on the 2020 candidates and asks questions no one else in the media asks. I don't know if this is what we want to use as.
What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, find a different source. Yeah,
I was just reading it, trying to get a vibe on what they're saying.
Right.
Oh, admit it. We have the best economy in generations, and it's a picture of Trump. Yeah, I don't know if the Examiner.
Oh God. Yeah, don't. No.
Like the logo's like this eagle with like the a flag tassel around it. I'm like, I don't know if this is where I want to go for my up-to-date, accurate news.
Right.
I think he's only offered. I think he's offered is the best that we have at this point.
Gotcha.
Where it's like that's such a half-assed thing. It's like, well, if you want me to, I guess fine. Well, it's like, just do it. You fucked up. You're blaming other people.
Right.
Just do it.
Right. Well, I think there are a lot of people to blame. I think there are a lot of different reasons why.
And there probably might be some validity to him saying that I was also kind of like the bigger government, the bigger Chinese government also kind of made it difficult for me to tell the facts to the people. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I could understand that also being another aspect making it difficult.
Right. I mean, it works like that in most governments. You have to wait until you get approval from your higher-ups, especially to make like a public announcement. So I think that definitely could be true.
We have a bass-playing friend that works for the government, and we always joke about nothing specific, but we always just joke about how slow the government is and how everything takes like months to happen, and and how
bureaucracy everywhere is time-consuming. I don't care what country you're from. Yeah, I would agree with that, Jared.
Yeah, and so I could understand and be like, all right, now that we think something's happening here, we have to take it to this person, who's then going to take it to this person, so we can finally get it into the hands of someone a month later that actually has some authority here to do something.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the tricky thing with this coronavirus too, Jared, is that we just have to kind of wait and see what happens.
Sure.
But for people out there who are worried, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. I guess wear a mask and goggles if you're really, really worried. But I would say most people, unless you're traveling in and out or around China, the likelihood of you catching the coronavirus, from my understanding so far, is very slim. This is not professional medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but that's just what I've read, trying to inform myself about how to be safe and healthy as well. So those are the steps I've been taking. Mm-hmm.
You're right. For the most part, for what it sounds right to me. Now I'm scared to say anything that sounds too official. But I would also like to say, for the people outside of China, really like it's funny how these things work, how now people in the U.S. and I assume other countries, Germany, Italy, like countries like that have confirmed cases, are probably now very scared about the coronavirus. Yet, let's just talk about what people should really be concerned about. Every year, an estimated 290 to 650,000 people die of complications from seasonal flu.
Yep.
So far, this year, or this season, 2019 to 2020, I believe this starts in October, is when they consider the start of
flu
the season.
Starts?
Yes.
Okay.
So in October to today, 20,000 plus people in the United States have died of the flu. And over about 21 million people have contracted the flu in the United States this year.
Yep.
Or this season, not this year.
Yep.
And it's pretty widespread this year. It's a worse year than normal. And really what the concern should be is doing the basic things that people are so freaking out like about to do to avoid coronavirus. Do that and be afraid of the flu too.
Yeah, right.
Still do it.
The other thing,
but realize that we have a way more pressing concern that could easily affect you, and that's honestly affecting more people than in the U.S. than is affecting coronavirus right now.
Right. The other thing is too, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I saw a statistic. Going from meme news here, Jared. I know how you love to give me shit for using meme news, but I saw on Facebook yesterday the number of people who have passed away from coronavirus so far from the time that we knew coronavirus happened and now, and then the number of people who have died from gun violence in the United States from when the coronavirus happened until now, and it was like 3 or 4 times the number. So,
if you,
I'm no super hardcore left-leaning advocate that is saying take away all your guns. I'm not saying that, but be careful out there, people. Be careful. So yeah. But Jared, I think we've covered enough of the coronavirus. If people have more questions or want to hear more about my own personal experience in China, let us know at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, or on Twitter, and Jared can let me know. I do have access to all that stuff now that I'm in Bali.
That's true. Just look at it yourself.
So yeah, right. So Jared, if you are worried and freaking out because of the coronavirus, what can you do other than wash your hands and not touch your face? What else can you do?
Stay informed. Limit your travel. Limit your exposure to people, especially strangers, but people in general, really.
And sick people.
Stay hydrated.
Yes, and listen to some great music to make you relax.
Oh, is that
just
what
like
you're
the
getting
song?
at?
That's what I was getting
I
at.
have no idea where you were going with that.
Like the song "Eye to Eye" by who's it by again?
It's by Jordan Rakei. He's New Zealand and Australian, New Zealandish / Australian, and this is a great song.
Really is.
It's got some Tom Misch vibes to me.
I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to bring that up big time.
But I don't think he actually plays the instruments. I think he's just like a producer, singer-songwriter.
Doesn't he play guitar in the video?
Oh, does he? I didn't pay that close attention.
I thought he did.
Anyway,
but maybe not.
He probably does. It's a great song. It's very it's sort of like a slow rock bluesy, I guess you would say.
Has some funky elements to it in the middle of it. Yeah, in the bridge.
I like that. He does like that big change up in the middle is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. Absolutely.
I picked this because I liked it, but I also had a good I feel like I have a pretty good feeling when I was like, oh, Chad'll like this.
I loved it. Yeah,
I'm pretty good at guessing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it too. It's a fun one.
Fantastic.
Check it out. Jordan Rakei. Eye to Eye.
And check out his other stuff too, because I've listened to a couple other songs, and they're all fantastic.
Yeah,
This song will definitely, if you're worried and stressed about the coronavirus, I think this will put you in a better mood. Chill out a bit and check it out. Right? No kidding. Check it out. Untranslatable Podcast on YouTube at our Song of the Pod playlist, and you can enjoy it. Okay. So I was going to have a Chinese word of the pod for today, but I closed the internet and the Trello because it was causing some issues. So we're going to skip that for today. I'm sorry to all of our listeners out there. But yeah, do you have a Spanish word of the pod for us, Jared?
I do, Chad. My Spanish word of the pod is informo or informa.
Which is to be informed.
No, it's to be sick.
Or information.
False friend,
really?
my friend.
Oh, that is a false friend.
And
okay.
my Chinese word of the pod is Shangbing, which is Mandarin
means
or
virus.
Chinese for sick.
Oh, sick. Okay. Gotcha.
If you could hear that, I don't know if that would come
Thank you,
through,
Jared. This is why Jared's a team player, people, helping the brother out. But yeah. Yes. So to recap today's episode, there's a lot of fact and fiction out there in the regarding the coronavirus. Make sure you are getting your information from credible sources. There are a couple really good doctors that are on YouTube that have given a lot of great information, because I think there are a lot of rumors and misinformation out there. So make sure, stay informed, stay happy, stay healthy, people. And don't obsess about this virus though either, because I think that's also not good. Especially, I think it's easy to get obsessed and then get exposed to a lot of misinformation, which just freaks you out and worries you more. And really, I mean, the truth of the matter is the only thing that you can do, people, is stay hydrated, wash your hands vigilantly, don't touch your face, your eyes, your mouth, your nose, your ears.
And honestly,
lots
do that
of sleep,
stuff
lots
here
of
in the
vitamin
U.S.
C.
too. Like, that's good stuff to do here in the
Do it
U.S.
everywhere.
With the flu
Do it everywhere.
During flu season, you should be doing these things in general.
Right. Cold season, flu season, absolutely. We are no doctors by any means, but those are definitely some good tips to keep you healthy and safe. And yeah, so we hope everyone who's listening.
Not, I mean, you're
Thank
not
you.
fully in the clear, I guess, but I'm glad that
yet,
you're
but
out of the
I hope I will be.
zone.
Right. And the vibes here in Indonesia, in Bali, Jared, are night and day from when I was in China. I have been seeing some people walking around with masks. I figured I would. I've seen some employees, like workers at malls and hotels, still wearing like a surgical mask. But I think overall, so far, no confirmed cases in Indonesia. And so far, so good.
How you feeling? How you feeling about? Now I asked you if you were expecting this, and we kind of got off track there a little bit. How does not off track there? You did answer it, but I also want to ask, how does it now feel to be unemployed? Like, you're like out of nowhere. You're now just. I mean, you have some. You know, like, you're not broke. You're not going to be broke.
Right. I have some savings and stuff, but exciting and scary, to be honest. Exciting and scary. Just, well, this virus isn't exciting. This virus is scary.
That's the scary part.
Exciting and scary. Yeah. So basically the way I'm currently feeling is I loved the fellowship. It was a great opportunity for me to grow as a professional. I love my colleagues at Shandong Normal University. I don't think I've ever said the name of the university on the podcast, but I will now. I want to thank everybody I worked with. I want to thank everyone at the office in Beijing who helped us out. This was truly, these 5 months have been amazing. And stay tuned. We'll be doing an episode, what I wish I would have done and what I will miss about China. So keep your eyes and ears open for that, people.
I mean,
because
that'll be interesting.
Will be kind of interesting
because people sorry, I just cut you off, but people always, you know, it kind of really puts into perspective that if you want to do something, like especially travel related, do it, because you never know what'll happen.
Right. And the irony was, Jared, there were certain things I didn't do in China because I was like, oh, I'll be here longer. I was hoping to come back for a second year. So yeah, this really changes a lot. But I will tell you the things I'm looking forward to about being unemployed: more time to spend with my friends and family, play lots of guitar, read.
I'm excited.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Absolutely. I'm also looking forward to what the future holds. I'm a little scared, but a little excited about that. I have a good feeling about the future. I think the fellowship has done a great job. I've improved my skills a lot as a teacher. So I'm looking forward to see what will happen in the future.
I'm not going to probe you too much on this, but I will say this. I'm very curious to know, just to see where your where your job search takes you next. Because
right, I will say this, Jared, and I talked to my parents about this today, and I don't think my mom was ecstatic about it. But I told my parents I am most likely I would say like 90 to 95% sure I'm going to be going abroad come August again.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where. I don't know. I hope to work for a university somewhere abroad.
Can't hold
so that's
down.
the plan. That's right. So yeah, and that's
Well,
for a variety of reasons.
But that'll be a good 6 months of podcasting in person.
Right.
And that I'm very much looking forward to.
Exactly. Me too. But we can talk more about this off the air. So yeah, just to recap once again, stay informed. Try to use credible sources out there, people. Wash your hands, stay hydrated, and listen to the Untranslatable podcast.
Yes.
That's right. So we hope this episode has been informative for all of you. And as I said, if you have other questions or you're curious about my experience living in China during the coronavirus, let us know, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Check out our Instagram for pictures and all sorts of stuff. I didn't take pictures while I was in China because it just looked like a place with no people. So maybe I should have, but I figured since it looked kind of like a ghost town, I didn't have pictures of people there to compare it to. You would just be like, why is Chad just taking pictures of random buildings or streets? So I apologize for that. But anyways, check out our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Slide into our DMs on Twitter, Untranslatable1, or check out that flight attendant video as well. And lastly, please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme, muchas gracias, and 谢谢.